Welcome, everybody, to the Shut Your Mouth Lounge, episode number 155. There is Addy here, who has not interrupted me during this one.
No mix up.
Yeah. And I am Alex. Pink will be joining us later on. So, Addy, you got anything coming out on your channel?
Possibly.
Alright, what is it?
So, I actually got my shit together and finally uploaded the Titanfall 2 video, so I still need to decide if I want to run it by you guys or not first, but I may release that.
The way you've described it makes it sound pretty good anyways.
I mean, yeah, but the last video that I just released, like like I liked on the time when I released it, but then I go back and the jokes kind of fall flat.
Anything else?
No, I believe that's it.
Alright, on my own channel there will be the final recorded part of The Forest on my end going up this week. However, the very last session of The Forest, technically I did record it, but due to a fuck up on my part, only recorded the audio. So if you want to see the finale for me and Mike's The Forest series, you're going to have to go to Mike's channel. However, we will be proceeding with our series in Dead Rising 2 Off the Record. Which, excuse me. Excuse me. I just ran into a little bit of a technical issue on my end, but it's fine now. I fixed it.
All right.
So, going to be proceeding with Dead Rising 2 Off the Record. And probably going to be quite a lot of that in the weeks going forward because me and Mike are both pretty high on that game. It turns out, while it's a lot more fun in multiplayer, and even ignoring that, I'm starting to have this reaction towards Dead Rising 2. You know, that Thanos gif from Endgame that's starting to get real popular lately. Where it's the fucked up, scarred up Thanos saying, "I may have treated you too harshly."
Yeah.
So there's that. And there will also probably be somewhat of a surprise video. I want to do Total War Warhammer content. I do not feel comfortable doing campaign Let's Plays, not only because I'm not, very funny in long bursts, but also because I think I don't want to edit out loading times. Loading times are a serious problem for Total War Warhammer. And my PC just has trouble enough with the campaign map not being recorded, and I'd rather not run into the technical issues of low frame rates and what have you on the campaign map while recording. So I wanted to do more scripted, edited content in the vein of video essays, but it occurred to me that I just don't know where to start, and even if I did start out, the kind of stuff that I make in, say, GIMP for that kind of thing is generally not the highest quality. I mean, obviously my drawings are comical, but, I make slightly better stuff for, letterboxing or what have you. But I'm still not satisfied with what I do there. So I think what I've decided to do is I'm going for kind of a common middle ground. Is I'm going to let the game run a battle between AI, so that there's something visually going on the screen, but I'm probably going to, while that's happening, just sit down and talk about various things related to Warhammer. Various gameplay aspects, or, making baseless speculation about Warhammer 3 for fun, and I'll try to get that started this week. I wanted to start it last week, actually, but I've been really fucking busy with a whole load of things with Christmas and everything. But I suspect I will have more free time this week, as I did get Christmas shopping done for virtually everyone. So I should have more time going forward.
In the whole world?
Yeah, I just have that much money to burn, brother.
You want everyone freaking 3085 Ti's.
Oh yeah, the guys running the bots, that's me. I'm running the bots.
No, you're not botting. You just have so many freaking wage slaves that it seems like you are.
Hey, that wouldn't be a bad job for those guys. Just fucking pressing the refresh key until you can enter a credit card. There are worse jobs nowadays in this epidemic. Or pandemic, excuse me. It's not an epidemic. It's a
In this
pandemic.
pandemic.
It's the whole world. Pan. Oh, Christ. Alright. Eddie, what have you been up to the
Yeah.
past week, man?
Yeah. So I got back into video games because seemingly the whole reason I had that whole shutdown was being conflicted over being a furry. Funnily enough.
Yeah, it can be something that can occupy the mind, deciding aspects about your identity like that, yeah.
But I mean, the thing is, like, I don't consider it like a big part of my personality or whatever. I mean, it's aesthetically a big part in that it's easy to tell, yes, but I don't know. It was kind of in the back of my mind, I suppose. But then I don't get why. You know, I was about to say I don't get why my mind decided it needed a full shutdown for me to actually realize it. Then I remembered, oh yeah, it didn't at first. Because at first it just gave me small clues, and then it gave me big clues, and then it freaking gave me a bout of depression, and I was still too obtuse to actually notice it. I I had that whole shutdown for 3 months. 3 months it took me to actually realize what I'm trying to tell myself. Like,
I'm not saying like it's gotta be a big core piece of your identity, but rather just that it's the kind of thing that can seem like a big choice in the moment, you know?
yeah, that is true.
Eh.
Uh,
So
but
what
yeah,
game did you get back into? I gotta ask.
a couple of them. I'm continuing my fifth playthrough of Ghost of Tsushima.
Ooh, alright. So here...
Fifth. I saw. I saw.
Oh, you
And
actually saw that?
yes, I saw. I am one of those weird people who spies on their friends. Yes.
Okay, so that was a
I,
passing thing. So my family was able to get a 2-for-1 deal on used high dollar games from GameStop. So they just straight up told me, okay, so we got you Ghost of Tsushima, Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, and Bayonetta 2. We need you to put them in the game consoles, check if they run, and if they run, immediately take them out and give them back to me so I can wrap them up and put them back under the tree.
uh,
So I cannot play Ghost of Tsushima now, but it is one of my Christmas presents. I know that.
all right.
In fact, I think I know all of my Christmas presents.
That means you can do Legends content later
Ooh, alright. Count me
because
in.
it is free.
It
And
is free, and supposedly it's quite good.
yeah, I've played through most of it alone.
Alright.
It was very hard. The last mission is literally impossible alone.
Yeah, it's designed for 4 instead of 1, so...
No, it's designed for 2, but
Oh!
still. Yeah, because there's two halves of, or I guess 2 modes in Legends. I don't know what to call them, but there's a Legends story mode which is designed for 2 people, which is the thing I played through, and then there's Bloody Palace basically.
Ah, ooh, cool.
Yeah, Bloody Palace is 4 people.
Alright.
So yeah, I did that. What can I say about Ghost of Tsushima that I haven't already? I'm on my 5th playthrough, so
How much time do you spend playing the flute?
not a lot actually. So a surprisingly small amount because there's only 4 songs, and also them change like they change the weather for as long as you play the flute, but then whenever you need to stop, the weather goes back into being stormy and whatever.
Does the flute have any gameplay effect, or is it just a style on people?
Well, the flute changes the weather for a bit.
Oh, does the weather have a gameplay effect?
No, it's just aesthetics.
Oh, okay. It would be funny if you could, like, play a Song of Storms and that made it where the weather went nuts and the AI couldn't see or hear as well.
Maybe that's a thing. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me because Ghost of Tsushima is a game where, you know the thing where they recorded every single line in Spider-Man PS4 twice to have a version that's out of breath.
Yes.
Yeah, Ghost of Tsushima is full of that shit.
Oh!
Like in Ghost of Tsushima, I was doing the tutorial mission, or one of the things that I thought was a tutorial mission. I don't actually remember, but I remember guy was like, "Follow me, Master Sakai, and I will lead you to whatever the place that's taken over by the Mongols." And I just went off to explore, and the NPC just goes, "Oh, you have other things to do. All right, I guess I'll just wait here then." And he actually waited for me there. Like, that's that's not the sort of thing that you would expect out of a video game yet. But here we are.
He just sits around kicking rocks and twiddling his fingers until you come back.
Yeah, and you can do this with any mission, even story missions.
That is so much better than the way Rockstar does things. Oh, did
like
you veer slightly off the path? Mission failed.
Yeah. I mean, there are a couple of moments of that as well in the game, but it's not every mission.
Well, it's probably the cases where it's urgent, like, oh, get there or else the house will explode, right?
Yeah, it's usually stuff like that.
Oh man, I'm a little bit hyped. I haven't exposed myself to too much of Ghost of Tsushima, but I did see one recording of Stealth Gamer BR playing it. Stealth Gamer BR is the fucking best at stealth games, and he can make just about any game look good at the very least, but with the way he plays Ghost of Tsushima, it looks fucking phenomenal. And he does like fucking rope swings off like trees into crazy ass air assassinations, and it looks rad.
Yes, yeah, you can do that. I do that as well.
Can you rope swing off any tree in the game?
Not any tree, but the camps are designed in a way because, from what I can tell, literally every camp is handmade. All of them.
Ooh.
Like the camp interiors, as in if you go inside the tent, it will look like any other tent in the game. But where the tent is was hand placed there. So
it did seem very deliberate placement, yeah.
And so, from what I could tell, every camp is designed in a way so that you can either go in guns blazing, or I guess swords blazing. But if you want, you can also try to do stealth, and you can do parkour, all that shit. I mean, there's one camp that has a boat parked there, and you genuinely need to figure out how to parkour on top of the boat so you can kill the one guy on it.
Awesome.
And yeah, the parkour system isn't quite Assassin's Creed good, but like it's weird because overall, or like I don't know how to describe it, but it feels a bit off. But at the same time, in some places it has more attention to detail than all Assassin's Creed even.
Did you ever play Infamous?
No, I don't have a PS3.
Okay. Oh, you didn't play Second Son when they gave it out for free?
I don't think I had a PS4 by that time.
Regardless, it's a good choice because Second Son was a really bad game, but I'm curious to see if they ported over Infamous's parkour system.
Well,
do you just have like a straight up jump button that you then use to go from like parkour grabbable object to grabbable object?
Sort of, but not really. So you have kind of like the main parkour with like the handhold stuff. That feels like Uncharted. And then for things where you can vault over them or stuff like that, that's when you just have a jump button and you can just jump on the thing or off of the thing.
Okay, so it's
like that.
Sounding a bit to me like Shadow of the Colossus or God of War parkour. A little more basic, but with some serious room for creativity.
Yes.
Okay.
And then
we need to like make an assembly of all the parkour games.
Yeah, we need to make a freaking political alignment chart for parkour games.
Yeah. We need to figure out the axes first, but yes, the parkour compass in gaming.
Yeah. One of the best things, one of the best feels in this game to me. Like, I'm really into parkour. I have been for a while, which is why I like one of the big reasons I like Assassin's Creed even. But like one of the best things to do in Ghost of Tsushima to me is just jumping off of like a large cliff, and then seeing that there's a trunk sticking out that you can attach your rope to. So you jump off, you're falling to your death, and then you press the rope button, and Jin throws out the rope and catches himself on the wood, and you just land safely on the ground.
I love video gaming bullshit like that.
Yeah.
Could you imagine
Yeah.
I hate to interrupt, but I'll say to continue in a second. Could you imagine if they added a unique animation where if you do that, Jin's arm just gets ripped off?
I mean, I wouldn't have minded because like some of the freaking the hits he takes against the rock walls like that. I don't think he has shoulders anymore. But yeah.
What were you going to say before I mentioned the concept of arms getting ripped off?
Well, yeah, they're getting hit into the rock walls, so we kind of stuck on topic. Also, how do I say this? So your horse will be your companion for most of the game, but and they are a lot tougher than RDR, but they can still die.
Oh, interesting.
But here's the thing: if you time your jumps right, if you can get a horse to jump off of a cliff, you can Yoshi them for that length.
Oh my god.
Hey, Pink.
Pink arrives at the time to talk about Addie sacrificing horses for more length.
Yeah.
My lordy.
How will I get a horse cock if without sacrificing horses first?
Things you have to consider. Truly.
Right. Anything else, Addie? Once you finish talking about what you did this week, we'll go back to Pink and what he's done and what he's uploaded and what have you.
All right. So I did put in some time with Blaze Blue.
Ooh, which one?
I read out like Raw Phantasm because I'm freaking too lazy to start up Steam to play Central Fiction.
That's kind of fair.
So yeah, I tried that out and I was like, I tried a couple of things with Hazama and a couple of other people, and I'm like, oh, Blaze Blue is fun, and then I actually tried going up against the AI, and I'm like, oh well, Blaze Blue feels weird.
Yeah. There.
Yeah.
There's a. I've never put enough time in with Blaze Blue to have a better term for it, but there is an indescribable stank to that game.
It feels like it feels like kind of like it feels like the same issue that I have with NetherRealm games, but the opposite.
I can kind of see what you're saying, yeah.
Like it feels like the animations are responsive and too responsive at the same time somehow.
I would say that the pacing for Blaze Blue feels really weird.
That could be the thing I think I'm trying to talk about. Yeah, the pacing of the whole fight.
It
But
it,
yeah.
it feels like it's a little slower than Guilty Gear and Marvel, but still too fast to like really fit into like Street Fighter type groups, and it's just got an awkward pacing to it, kind of as a result, where things are hyper, but not like responsive, snappy hyper like they are in Marvel or Guilty Gear.
Yeah. That like I don't know if it's just the characters I try to play or want to play, but it feels like I don't know, like 80% of the cast has just the weirdest normals.
Yes, that's absolutely the case. I mean, you and I have both played Hazama, and Hazama's got super fucking weird normals.
Yeah, Hazama is all about weird normals.
Like,
But like,
I would say
yeah,
one of the most defining things for Blaze Blue is how weird the normals are, not just in terms of properties, but in terms of appearance.
yeah, just everything all together. And actually think that might be the thing that's keeping me from getting into Blaze Blue because the characters, I mean, look,
Characters are not just functions.
yeah, characters are not just functions, but like, look, even with these characters, like Hazama's cool. Hakuman could be cool if he wasn't Jin Kisaragi under the mask. Freaking, I have Kokonoe, but like,
Oh yeah, we've all got like everyone who's played Blaze Blue has at least a couple characters off that cast they like because that cast is so fucking huge. You're going to like at least one of them.
yeah,
Like
but like,
there's a wealth of fucking creepy anime girls, but like there's also the badass werewolf butler.
yeah,
What?
Yeah, he's awesome. He's like Slayer, but instead of being a vampire, he's a werewolf.
we should get Pink into Blaze Blue as well.
No, no, Yeah, so Pink can immediately be like, wow, this is like Guilty Gear if you took away everything likable about it.
Yeah.
That's pretty well just Blaze Blue.
I mean, Pink, so you can you can understand what we're talking about. And I just noticed this playing Blaze Blue today. Blaze Blue is like the weird freaking like stepping stone between Accent Core and Exert, because it still has a lot of Accent Core's mechanics, or its own interpretations of Accent Core's mechanics. Like roaming cancels work the same as they do in Accent Core. And also, I don't remember what they call it in Blaze Blue, but or at least in freaking Chrono Phantasma, but the even said freaking these names. even Accent Core's mom mode is in Chrono Phantasma Extend.
Interesting.
Mom
Well-
mode was in Exard.
Mom mode was in both, but I'm also wrong, by the way, because the mode I was thinking of in Accent Core was survival.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ah.
I think the only thing that Pink would like in all of Blaze Blue is what's her god?
Makoto.
No, I was going to say 9.
I don't.
I
Or
hate that she's
yeah,
just named
9.
9. Fuck.
Yeah, I usually just remember her as freaking Jubei's witch chick.
Boob wizard.
Yeah, it's weird to think about how Jubei and Nine made Kokonoe, but hey, I play half of that family.
It's yeah, it's definitely one of those cases where like technically speaking, like Jubei is fully sentient and fully intelligent like a human. So like it gets into that aspect of like when we look at like Star Wars or Mass Effect and you fucking alien and the aliens look human, we're pretty comfortable with it. But it's definitely a lot more uncomfortable when it looks like, a cat.
Yeah, that how much on intro is too much intro.
Like, morally, we can't really say anything's wrong there because Jubei is fully intelligent and understands what's going on. But, like, on a kind of, like, cultural level.
Yeah, it still has that aftertaste of bestiality.
Yeah.
Which obviously
bestiality.
which obviously we are all very acquainted with.
Aftertaste of bestiality. I'm not gonna be able to get after it. I can't make that the title of the podcast, but goddamn, that's a good
But we should still.
No, we're not. No, we're not, because that'll get the wrong clicks.
I mean, hey, we already have a podcast title, Guerrero Lingerie Match.
We can deal with that. It's the bestiality part that I can't put up with. The fucking. I mean, when you think about it, in Mass Effect, if you sleep with Garrus, it's kind of like fucking a bug. So I mean, it's not too distant.
Yeah, it's close enough.
I feel like there would be a weirder part of Mass Effect, like let you romance a Krogan, because they're giant fucking bull toads. But hey.
So
remember the simple days when the aliens were just blue? Eddie, proceed.
yeah, so aside from those two games, I also play. Well, I don't know if I kind of played, but hey, I reinstalled Spider-Man PS4 to check out the new costumes. Checked out the new costumes and then deleted the game.
Hey, that's fair.
Because guess what? My saves are gone, and I'm not playing through the game again just to check out the costumes.
Oh no.
So, thank God that they're available literally at the start of the game.
Oh, do they still come with unique abilities?
No.
Okay, that makes sense, because that'd be a big gameplay change to introduce like 3 new abilities way after everyone's played the game.
Yeah, no, it's just aesthetics, and not even particularly great ones, in my opinion.
I can't even remember what they are.
I forget the guy's name. Garfield,
Oh,
maybe.
Oh, the Garfield Spider-Man. Okay.
Yeah, that's Spider-Man. Kamen Rider.
Japanese
And
Spider-Man, okay.
I don't know. He looks like freaking Jushin Thunder Liger. So
Japan loves Spider-Man, come on.
Japan does love Spider-Man.
They can't get enough of Spider-Man.
The entire
And
Sentai genre was built on Spider-Man, literally.
on his back,
Yes,
the Power Rangers set is currently swinging around in New York.
on his spider mech.
Yeah,
And there's a third costume, right?
yeah. There's a third costume, which I don't know if it's an original or not. It's this. It's an armor, and it runs into the same issue of, hey, what if we have an armor top but a freaking but leggings bottom? Wouldn't that look great?
Armored Spider-Man never works.
I mean, I feel like I would be more accepting of armored Spider-Man if it was actually Spider-Man in armor instead of just I put on chest piece and now the top looks bulky and the
He's
bottom looks
like wearing
normal.
football pads.
Yeah,
To me, like, the only armored Spider-Man costume that ever worked was the MCU's Iron Spider costume. And that's because that's pretty well just a normal Spider-Man costume, but with metal plating instead of spandex.
Yeah, it's just shiny.
Yeah. As opposed to the comic book Iron Spider outfit, which was more than a little bit, ew.
it existed.
Yeah, it was pretty well like a fucked up color scheme version of Spider-Man 2099.
No, not even that, because at least Spider-Man 2099 has the Punisher spider.
True.
I mean, that's the main reason I like that design.
Yeah, I really do like the 2099 design. The Iron Spider design is just freaking ugly.
Yeah, what I was saying was I think that what makes the Iron Spider design ugly is the color scheme.
Yep,
It's
I think I agree.
it's the Wolverine brown and fucking orange design.
Hey, that design is the best design.
Blue and yellow Wolverine to my dying day.
No.
Yes.
Leather jacket. Leather jacket is kind of cowboy
I'll give
hat
you the
look.
colors, but the design, I much prefer the brown and tan look.
It's like part of the thing I love is it's the classic X-Men colors, but he's still got inverted colors from everybody else.
Right.
It also, the thing is, there's 2 blue and yellow suits. Well, there's 3 actually. Because there's the original one, which had the really dumbass looking face mask.
And the whiskers.
Yeah, the second one that he had for a good while, like the original Claremont, the original Len Wein, I guess, X-Men Wolverine. And then there's the modern one he has now, where he doesn't have the trunks.
Oh, that one's garbage.
Oh, I love that one.
No.
I think that they... Hang on, let me look up a picture of that design. Because if I remember correctly, it was one of the times where they were able to really make a good version of costume removing the trunks. Yeah, with the blue siding. I'm really fond of that one. Oh, I looked up Wolverine costume. It's literally bringing up kids' costumes. No, hang on. Wolverine art. This should do it. There we go. Wolverine art. Yeah, I'm a big fan of like the belt and having the blue siding and all that. And that's the design he has in Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, right?
Yeah.
Okay, why did it bring up art of Wolverine and Cyclops making out?
Because of that one scene with Wolverine in the picture and caressing Scott's hair in the picture.
I choose to believe that's the only way that the Wolverine, Scott, Emma Frost, Jean Grey foursome can work out, is if Wolverine is also fucking Scott.
He'd have to.
Because, I mean, you said it yourself when we talked about the foursome at first, was Wolverine doesn't share. So to me, that's the only way it works, is if they are also fucking.
Yeah.
In which case, oh boy, that's some interesting bedroom adventures between those 4. That'd be a big question of who would probably be the biggest bedroom freak, Wolverine or Emma Frost? I don't know. I'd actually find Emma Frost more worrying, even though if Wolverine has nightmares, he stabs you. You know, like I'll take that over whatever Emma Frost is bringing, because that based off the past, she does not care about consent, like at all. It's really kind of disturbing how she got away with that and no one cared. Boy, there's a lot of comic book characters who got away with stuff they really shouldn't have.
Oh yeah.
It's really convenient that everyone forgot Deathstroke's a pedophile.
That is true. That is true.
So, Addy, did you play any games featuring forgiven pedophiles?
I'm not up on my Lord of the Rings lore enough, but I did play. I did play Shadow of War.
Shadow of War, okay.
Yeah, I installed that game because it was free.
So it's pretty well just Shadow of Mordor with more content, isn't it?
I don't know. I played like on a whole hour or two, and then I was like, this comment mechanic is making me hate this game, and then I uninstalled it.
Yeah, it's Batman, but worse.
It's Batman. It's Batman, but the rhythm is all over the place, and the AI is not. The AI is programmed to attack you at once, while the combat mechanic is built for freaking ninjas. So
What you gotta do is you just gotta press the counter button once each time for the people who are attacking you.
yeah, I know, but it takes like 30 hours for people to die that way. That's my issue.
It's one of those cases where you just gotta keep on the offense and only throw out counters whenever they come for you. I know this.
That's what I did. That's what I did. And while doing that, it felt like the battles were way too dragged out.
I also do lots of dodging in Shadow of Mordor to try and keep all the orcs on one side so they can't surround me.
Yeah, I did that too. So
Huh.
I don't know what I did wrong. Like short of using explosives, I did basically anything that was given to me. And I don't think I had explosives.
Was combo executions one of the first skills you picked up?
No, I don't think I ever got leveled up enough to actually get skills.
Oh, combo executions are like the most vital thing to that game's combo system.
Yeah, I couldn't bear the bare bones version that they gave me enough to actually level up. Past the one level up that they give you at the start of the game, that they force you to spend on like freaking the shitty sprinting mechanic that isn't fun.
Yeah, they force you to do that because that is technically the fastest way to get around the game, but pretty much everyone who played Shadow of Mordor, including me, skipped it. I didn't start using that until like my third playthrough of Shadow of Mordor.
I mean, I used it because I mean that I have it already. Why not? But I don't know. It didn't make the game that any more fun, honestly.
It's just the most efficient way of transportation. Otherwise,
Yeah.
you take a fucking while to get anywhere in that game if you don't do that. Also, it's funny because he adopts a different running stance when you actually succeed at it, and he runs like the fucking Flash.
Yeah.
Despite
But yeah,
running, no, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, despite not running anywhere near as fast as he should. But anyways, yeah, continue.
But yeah, I just feel like those games are really not made for me because I don't like Lord of the Rings, and apparently the gameplay isn't up to my standards. So hey, like the Nemesis system might be fun. I don't know. It just feels like a tech demo to me now.
Shadow of Mordor definitely has that kind of tech demo feel to it, but I think there's enough in it that's kind of charming in a sense of you can tell this was supposed to be a cheap, shitty cash-in, and yet there's nonetheless a lot of passion that went into it from some people on the dev team, you know?
Yeah.
It's got that kind of charm to it of, like, this wound up being better than it had any right to be. Shadow of War, it's difficult to say, because there's definitely not as much charm to it. You can definitely tell that they tried to, strike while the iron was hot and make a super high-budget version of Shadow of Mordor, which they did make, but it feels a bit like it's lacking Shadow of Mordor's soul. Anything else?
I don't think so.
Alright, Pink, you got anything coming out on your channel this week?
I need to actually upload those 3 videos that I talked about last week, and I'm probably... I don't want to promise anything, but I'm probably going to do some videos on Exerd as well in the upcoming weeks.
Ooh, alright.
Yeah.
Oh, Pink, I looked at a biking combo for you, but I freaking forgot. But oh yeah, that's the thing that I wanted to tell you. Even if I don't remember the combo, here's a couple of tools that I didn't figure out bike and head until now, and then they are kind of useful past a certain point. So if you do the dash, then press dust, and that's Baiken's Hadoken.
Okay.
So it's half circle back kick dust, and that's how you get the Hadoken, and then half circle back kick punch is her Shoryuken.
Well, that's nifty.
So you can practically use her as a Shoto, more or less. A Shoto with geese parries. That's a scary thought.
We gotta play more Guilty Gear sometime. I'm not gonna be available today because Mike wants to record more Dead Rising, but like whenever we get free time, you know?
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Alright, and Pink, what have you been doing this past week, man?
What have I been doing? Okay, so last Black Friday, Cyber Monday, whatever you want to call it, I actually picked up 3 things, all from Ubisoft. They love me. They won't sponsor me. They won't return my calls either. I don't understand it.
Oh.
But I finally got Assassin's Creed Odyssey. I'm sorry, Addy. I picked up Watch Dogs as well. And then
which
I
one?
also got Watch Dogs Legion, the latest one.
Okay, I was about to say, if you picked up
Yeah.
Watch Dogs 1, then I was like, okay, well, striking while the iron is hot there.
Yeah, I'm sure that was on Black Friday stuff for at least $2. Everybody loved that game.
Yes, they
Oh.
did.
What a flop. Okay, so third and final thing I got was Assassin's Creed the Ezio trilogy.
Ooh, alright.
Because I wanted to kind of get a feel for both the
classical
Assassin's Creed of the past and what we have now. Because I didn't want to base my opinion on Odyssey solely on having played a little bit of Revelations a decade ago. So, I finally I'll be able to play Assassin's Creed 2. I'll actually be able to own my favorite Assassin's Creed, Brotherhood. And then I'll have the luxury of being able to play Revelations with an Xbox controller instead of a terrible PS3 controller. So, good deal.
Alright, you and me can run through Ezio Trilogy around the same time. I've been super busy lately, so I'm still like...
I believe it.
Just at the ass end of Act 3 in Assassin's Creed 2, which is not very far in that game.
Oh, not really, no.
Like, Ezio pretty well has just ended his trainee phase.
Yeah, I'm still going through that. Don't worry.
Yeah, he's actually not as bad as I remember for the whole, hey, I'm an Italian playboy thing, but he is still a little bit of, hey, I'm an Italian playboy who's also angry because his parents are fucking dead.
Yeah. Just remember that whenever you think of me liking Ezio, I don't like Assassin's Creed 2 Ezio. I like Assassin's Creed 2 Endgame Ezio, which is practically Brotherhood. So...
And then Revelations Ezio, who's like, hey, I'm too fucking old for this.
And the Revelations Ezio, who is like, I'm gonna set your cave on fire and then kill everyone. Actual thing that happened.
How do you set a cave on fire?
Well, people built their wood houses inside the cave, so Ezio just lights up a couple of houses.
Oh yeah, that'll work.
People run away, and I think he kills the Templars with smoke.
Yeah, that'll work.
And definitely no babies.
Can Templars reproduce?
Yeah, because they're aliens from the 5th dimension, you know.
Oh, they might be. It hasn't been confirmed that they're not, so you never know. Have you seen a Templar baby? I haven't.
Actually, yeah, Altair and Templar make a baby in AC1.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
What?
He's a race traitor. Get him.
I can't believe it. Man was my hero. Not anymore. I'm tearing down all my posters.
Everyone knows Altair, like, #1 best Assassin's Creed character.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, since day one.
I'm imagining like freaking Pink trashing his room, around his dimly lit room, tearing down his posters of Altair while I'm not okay, I promise, is playing in the background.
I was thinking 3 Days Grace, but that works too. Oh man. Now, with your time that you have got to play those games, Pink, what do you think?
I'm really enjoying all of them.
All right.
Yeah, it's like I don't remember how much I spent, probably about $70, and it was well worth every penny. I've greatly enjoyed Assassin's Creed 2. I'm not very far in it as well as you are, so not a lot to say about that one. Knife throwing is kind of awkward in that one, I will say though, because there are times where I'll lock onto the target and I'll think I'm actually locked on, but it's not fully locked on, so I'll just hit the X button to throw the knife, and the knife will go straight out and keep flying and fly until
Yeah,
you can't see it anymore. It probably kills an innocent bystander standing a couple of 100 miles away, but aside from that,
you need
everything
to
runs
hold.
very smoothly. We'll go ahead.
You need to hold the X button to actually aim the knife.
Okay, I didn't know
It's a
that.
it's
That's
a per
good information because
it's
I
a
thought
per
it would all be automatic.
Yeah, no, it's kind of is, but not really. So how the aiming in the old games worked was you locked onto the person you wanted to shoot, and then you held down X until a line appeared between your hand and them, and then you threw the thing or like shot them with the gun.
Okay. Yeah, I knew there was aiming, but I didn't know if it existed in Assassin's Creed 2. I was like, oh no, what if that didn't become an option until Revelations? Oh no, how's this gonna work? This isn't good. So that's a relief. I think I would prefer the manual aiming over the auto, so that's good for me. Good information, Addy. Thanks for hooking up, brother up.
I mean, I can practically play through the games alongside you two guys, despite my Xbox being broken and not being able to play the games, because I played through Assassin's Creed 2 8 times, Brotherhood like 23 times, and Revelations 5 times. So I have a good idea of what's going on in those games.
Yeah, you can speed run those games with a blindfold on, no problem.
I mean, speed run no, but I mean, I probably actually could do a freaking Wetlands Ebony percent run in Brotherhood. Because I do actually speedrun until I can get my color scheme.
Wetlands Ebony percent.
Yeah.
All right. How is AC Odyssey?
Very good, very different gameplay wise from the previous Assassin's Creed.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. Control
No one's
schemes
ever
are
told
completely overhauled.
no one's ever told me about the changes in Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
Yeah, it's like we went several years having our podcast and nobody ever bothered to mention Assassin's Creed or Assassin's Creed Odyssey or anything like that,
I
or any
guess
of the
we just
changes that they would be making.
I guess we just don't know any, big Assassin's Creed fans.
Yeah, it's like I wish somebody could have told me, so I would have known this going in,
Maybe,
but
maybe,
no,
maybe we
it
should
wasn't that lucky.
maybe we should have invited Mike. I hear that he's really into Assassin's Creed.
Oh,
Oh,
really? I never would have picked him for an Assassin's Creed guy, but yeah, now that you say it, maybe he's exactly the
I
kind
mean,
of guy we were looking for.
he said I think on a previous podcast he said that one of his favorite features in Assassin's Creed were always the Animus falls. So
all right. So AC Odyssey, what do you consider like the big, glowy, nice feature that you would praise for the game, Pink?
So I'm a little undecided, but I think I like their parkour system better in the later Assassin's Creeds than the previous ones. But the stealth systems are just so different from one another because in let's just use Assassin's Creed 2 as an example. Assassin's Creed 2 has the social stealth where you can blend in with crowds, sit on benches, hide in what are they? Not haystacks. Hay
bales.
bales. Yeah.
And if you're
I don't
like
know if
me,
they're
you
called
like
bales if they're not bound up. I don't know what you call that.
hay piles.
Hay piles. There we go.
And if you're like me, you'll accidentally pickpocket the people next to you and blow your cover.
Oh
Ah,
yeah.
You see the the secret of doing social stealth while walking is to just not fast walk at
Yeah.
all. Only normal walk or jog.
It really doesn't help that it
Right.
looks like Ezio's just like getting a big old grasp of their ass when he does it.
Yeah.
Italian playboy, he might just be.
Yeah. As he was going to be sharing a cell with Terry Bogard.
So the stealth systems are very different from one another. So Assassin's Creed 2, social stealth. Assassin's Creed Odyssey. To my knowledge, there is no such thing as social stealth. There are no crowded streetways that you can wander around in and hide amongst your peers. It's a lot of hiding in bushes in that game. And it's not like the previous ones where you move toward the hay bales and you'll just jump inside. It's crouch, sit in bush, you're hidden. It's very similar to something else. I can't remember what it was. Was it Skyrim
Yeah,
or is it Far
it was
Cry?
it was Grim. Yes.
Yeah, I think both those games use a similar system of if you're crouching and standing in tall grass with the Pokemons, then people won't be able to see you.
The Pokemoms.
Yeah, baby.
Someone gets
Doc
the fairy.
Professor Oak is getting it on. Hey, kid, here's a Pokemon. Go ahead and leave town so me and your mother can spend a couple months together.
Man, that plot makes sense now.
Someone fetched the nurse Clefairy.
I don't know why, but it just always cracks me up, that theory that you head off in Pokemon so Oak can fuck your mother. I just associate Professor Oak in my mind as such an innocent character because I played those games as a kid. And I remember the anime. And now the idea of Oak. Like, the entire time you're away, your mom and Oak are just getting it on like crazy.
Oh, man.
And when you get back,
Pokemon
Oak just has to...
tournament and come back to a little brother. It's going to be wild.
And his name is Gary.
And his name is Gary.
And Professor Oak has mysteriously left town. Weird.
He really had to meet up with his coworker in Cerulean City. I forget what was the Gen 2.
Yeah, he's just heading off to a different continent. That every game is about the fucking son of, or the child of Professor X's new sexual conquest.
But yeah, to confirm your thinking, yes, Assassin's Creed Odyssey has no social stat whatsoever.
All right.
It's all
just
crouching the bushes. It's all just crouching the bushes stealth.
All right. I guess it makes a bit of sense because ancient Greece probably wasn't as bustling as Renaissance. What is it, Florence? I think it's Florence.
Well, Assassin's Creed 2 is at first Florence and then San Gimignano, Tuscany, Venice.
Right.
More Florence. So
yeah.
It's all over the place.
All over the place, but very bustling cities of Renaissance days. So going back in time, ancient Greece probably wasn't as bustling. Well, not as much in some places, which they get right, because there's a lot of open space in the game. So a lot of your playtime will be spent out in the wilderness. So wise on their part to change the stealth system. Probably not quite. I think I'm in Addie's boat here. Not quite Assassin's Creed level stealth. I think I said previously, it's kind of trying to be 3 different games at once. It wants to be Skyrim, it wants to be Assassin's Creed, it wants to be Dark Souls. And it does all these things very well, but it's not a great Assassin's Creed game, and I would have much rather they had taken the Assassin's Creed title out and just rolled with their Odyssey idea and done something completely different, like just a new IP entirely, because I think that would have worked better. It's a far better game than Skyrim. I've played Skyrim for about an hour, maybe, and it's all right. I don't know what year that game came out in, but it definitely didn't deserve to win Game of the Year at all. It's like
Skyrim came out
average.
in 2011.
2011, I can probably look at the 2011's catalog and come up with 10 other different games that would have deserved more praise than Skyrim.
Now that you brought it,
Brotherhood, yes, my favorite.
Okay, yeah. 2011 was Batman Arkham City, Portal 2, Modern Warfare 3, Battlefield 3, Uncharted 3. A lot of threes that year. Gears of War 3. Deus Ex Human Revolution, LA Noire, Saints Row 3, Dead Space 2, Bastion, Witcher 2, Crisis 2, Skyward Sword, Bulletstorm, Assassin's Creed Revelations. Oh fuck, there's a lot of games here that are better than Skyrim. Infamous 2, Rayman Origins, Dragon Age 2, Little Big Planet 2. Oh boy, Dead Island. Fucking shit.
Ah, yeah. Do you remember when we tried to record that game and then we didn't?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the whole process of us going, hey, we should record that game, and then no one showed up, and then we deleted the game.
Yeah. Fucking Jesus, it keeps going. Mortal Kombat 9, Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, Terraria.
Oh man, our little baby boy.
Like, Skyrim just gets stomped for good games that year.
Yeah, a bit.
It's not even... That was a big year in gaming. Skyrim just does not compare.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, to go back to Pink's point a bit, you said that it tries to be Skyrim, it tries to be Dark Souls, it tries to be Assassin's Creed at the same time, and it does a good job. I would argue that it doesn't even do a good job. but that's in part because I'm not comparing it to Skyrim for the RPG parts. I'm comparing it to The Witcher 3.
Yeah, I think it's more... I think the comparison to Witcher seems to be more accurate based off what I've seen.
I have not played a Witcher game or even seen gameplay of a Witcher game, so I wouldn't know if that's an apt comparison or not, which is why I didn't make it.
Hell, the plot actually matters for one thing, and for another thing, there's lots of sex.
Oh, why don't I play that game?
I don't know. I don't know why you don't play that game, because the second game was given away for free. That's how I own it.
Oh man.
I got the second game for free when they released the Blood and Wines DLC or whichever one, I forget. It was a promotional thing. They just put up the second game for free for anyone at all. So I just grabbed it because I was like, oh well, whatever. Maybe I'll play through it sometime. And then
It's free. Hard to argue with free.
Yeah, and then I bought Witcher 3 for $5, I think, the Game of the Year edition for $5. I bought it at the same time as Watch Dogs 2. I remember that. Which, yeah, I mean,
those are two games that I've put an hour into, never picked up again.
Yeah, to be honest, I bought both of those games for $5. Witcher 3 was probably worth the $5 more. as much as we shit on The Witcher 3, and as much as I dislike what it's done to the gaming industry and all that. Like, sometimes you have to give it props for just existing. But yeah, like my biggest thing with Odyssey, the reason I spent basically all of 2018 just yelling about Assassin's Creed Odyssey was because not only are they changing the direction in a way that I don't like, but they also changed the direction in like they copied the direction change badly. It's not well executed, because if you look at the older Assassin's Creed games, those are better Assassin's Creed games. If you look at The Witcher 3, that does the RPG parts of Assassin's Creed Odyssey better. If you play Dark Souls does the Dark Souls parts better than Assassin's Creed Odyssey. So there's nothing that this game excels at. It's a jack of all trades, and not even a novice at any of them, really.
Yeah.
It reminds me a bit of the case of Mad Max. You remember when the Mad Max game came out, and it did very well popularly, but critically it didn't do well. And Total Biscuit had probably the best take on it, where he said, for critics, this game just imitates games they've already played, and it doesn't imitate them particularly well. But for casuals, this kind of game, like Mad Max, just has loads of content, and it's loads of technically quality content for a reasonable price. And I wonder if Odyssey, it's one of those cases where, in a way, people are getting Assassin's Creed, Witcher, and Dark Souls as one package, even though it doesn't do any of those games as good as the originals. You know?
Right.
Maybe, but even with all of that, my complaining, the one that hurts me the most out of any of them is the Dark Souls part, because the Assassin's Creed parts are a bit butchered, but at least sometimes they throw a bone to the old fans. The Witcher parts are the Witcher parts, and then Dark Souls, they just completely misunderstood the basics of what makes the Dark Souls combat fun.
Oh yeah,
Is the
loads of
thing.
RNG. That's my favorite part of Dark Souls. When I think of Dark Souls, I think of death being a random chance.
And also having it so characters who are 3 levels higher than you are literally God.
Oh fuck! I forgot about the hard level scaling. Oh, that's bad.
Like that's one of my favorite features of Odyssey, because in Origins the level scaling didn't exist. They had to patch it in so you could opt out of it. In Odyssey, level scaling was built into the game, which means that people who are under your level are only like 1 level under you, which means basically jack shit. But people who are above your level, that's like I think it's 3 levels. Where if they're levels higher than you, instead of a level counter, you just get a freaking skull above their head, and on
Mhm.
any attack that you do does like a pixel of damage.
Mhm.
Even the special abilities.
Okay,
Like there's fun to be had with Odyssey, because I liked some of the freaking, like, I past a certain point I was like, well, stupid bullshit is in the game, so I might as well have fun with it. And I have to admit that teleportation kills are fun, but like overall I felt like the game was padded way too hard, and all that for me to justify actually giving it like a good place in my heart.
Right.
I do want to mention Valhalla came out fairly recently, and I don't know if you noticed, Daddy, but the critics are starting to turn on Valhalla like they turned on the later Assassin's Creed. And are starting to go like, I still kind of like the gameplay, but boy, it's pretty well the exact same fucking game as Origins and Odyssey.
Yeah, it's almost like it wasn't it wasn't the setup that they had that was the issue. It was the volume, almost.
The repetition without slight feature changes to justify it.
Yeah,
Like, I don't think no one cared about no one minded the transition from AC1 to 2 because 2 introduced a lot of new features. And like Brotherhood and AC3 both got fair bits of praise because they each introduced new features. And Black Flag got a ton of new praise for lots of new features, though they weren't really the kind you were looking for. But a lot of the most criticized AC games of that generation were just like games that were way too similar to the last one, you know?
yeah.
And speaking of sailing, how about that sailing in Odyssey, huh, boys?
It exists. It's
It
not
most certainly
terrible.
does.
I don't hate it.
I mean, it's the best sailing we've had in Assassin's Creed, but that's not saying too much, because the sailing in Assassin's Creed has always been like, the sailing in Assassin's Creed has been the best when it was locked to gondolas.
Ha!
Like people are all up in arms about, oh, I want to have my big sea battles in Assassin's Creed, but Assassin's Creed doesn't do sea battles well. It's boring. Like,
Yeah, it's easily the weakest part of Odyssey. I've not played any of the previous Assassin's Creed that featured sailing, but it's like if they're giving me the option to not do naval battles, I am going to opt to not do naval battles because I've done at least 2 now. They're not great.
think you're gonna love the pirate island. Literally all of the missions, not literally, but like 80% of the missions on this island are naval battles.
Oh man.
See, I put like, 10 hours into AC3 back in the day and did like 2 sailing missions. I was like, yo, this is awesome. And then I put an hour into Black Flag and I was like, hey, I still enjoy this. And I just never came back. So for me, like, the confounding thing about Odyssey sailing is you go from having crazy ass big ships with these massive sails and cannons and shit, and to like, oh, Athenian era like fucking triremes, and you've just got archers on board, which seems a
Yeah.
lot less exciting. I mean, don't get me wrong, I know that like a big part of Athens' military power was its navy, but geez.
That was its only military power.
Yeah. Also, I gotta mention this again, but just because it bugs me, because, like, missed potential. But how the fuck do you make a game set in classical Greece and not allow the player to fight in Phalanx style with a spear and shield combo?
Yeah. So the combat, it's great in game, but as a lover of Greek history, I'm watching, the opening tutorial type thing is Battle of 300, and you're playing as Leonidas.
Really?
And
Yeah.
yeah. And like I said, combat's pretty fun, but in no way is it even sort of historically accurate. It's like you're flying all around with a bunch of bodies flying around with you, and you're whipping spears around. Like, nope, none of this is good. There are no shields. You're not poking people out from a distance. There's no breaking the lines. You're just sort of doing It's like For Honor. That's basically what it feels like. A lot of massive one-on-ones and
And
then ganking.
I actually had the opposite opinion of us Pings when I started on Odyssey, because uh the combat mechanic by the time I played Odyssey was not new to me, because the combat mechanic of Odyssey is literally the same as in Origins, just limper.
Limper.
Yeah, it's just worse overall. Like it's faster, so that's a thing, but it lacks impact now, which is why they slowed it down in Valhalla. But yeah, the thing, my thing was like, I don't like ancient Greece. I don't like ancient times overall, but like ancient Greece specifically is a part of history that I just don't have no care about. So
Right.
Leonidas doing big ass Muso combos on people was cool. And then the game,
That was the coolest thing you could get from it. Yeah, this
yeah,
is all right.
and
Big
and
historical
then the
figure
game,
doing Muso combos. That's all right.
and then the game actually started.
And then the game started, and it was all downhill from there.
I mean, basically, because the way the game, like the way I was introduced to the combat mechanic and all that, was Leonidas killing like 4 people at once with a swipe, and then from that you transition to, here's basically a 1-on-1, but there's some archers in the back shooting at you as well.
Right.
So going from actually something that could be a crowd fighter to, here's Dark Souls, but also the attacks have like no damage and no impact and nothing whatsoever behind them.
Hang on, I want to go back a while. Pink, you said that Leonidas doesn't have a shield.
Right.
So is he just two-handing a spear?
No, he's one-handing a spear.
Yeah, he's one-handing it.
But like,
He's a man. He don't need no shield.
No, he does a cool pose. That's why he needs his other hand.
Oh yeah.
but like the mental image everyone has of the Greeks, of the classical Greeks, is from 300, right?
Right.
The movie 300,
Yeah.
during which Leonidas always has his fucking shield.
Never left home without it.
Come back with it or on it, right?
Uh-huh.
And like, I guess Leonidas came back without it.
Yeah. Also, there's a big part that Pink isn't telling you, which is that, well, actually, I don't remember 100% if it's been revealed to Pink either. Shit. Okay. Do we care about spoilers?
Nope.
No?
Yep,
Okay.
go right ahead.
So what Pink has not revealed yet, if he even knows it, is that Leonidas is like very strongly Isu. He is one of the alien people.
Oh God, really?
Yes, that well, I don't think he specifically is part of the alien people, but his spear is or was made by the ones who came before, so it has special alien powers. It's a piece of Eden, which is which is why it has magic, why it gives magic powers to the protagonist and then makes them immortal.
Right.
The 300 lost that battle, right?
They did.
Turns out the powers of
Well,
God
yeah,
are actually pretty
first of
lame.
But yeah, actually, that's the.
Well,
that's the
maybe
thing
they
that-
actually won it in this game because, this game lets you completely rewrite history, so why not? Hey, turns out in this universe, the 300 actually won the battle.
And they beat back those barbarian Persians. Wait, what do you mean Persians weren't barbarians?
The Greeks called them barbarians, so that's what they were.
Because they wore pants.
Okay, I do have something that Pink will like though. In the game, I remember a mission that Pink will like. Well, no, not the mission specifically, but having completed it. So there's a mission in I think Alexandria which doesn't say a lot, does it? But
There are a lot of Alexandrias if you really
yeah,
think about it.
but there's a mission that's called the Prince of Persia, and if you complete it, you get the Dagger of Time.
Ooh,
It actually does slow people down when you hit them with it, I think.
I like it.
I appreciate just the complete and utter ham-fistedness of such a reference.
Yeah.
Like, what is he? Is the Prince of Persia? Is the prince actually just running around in Persia during Assassin's Creed Odyssey? Like, what?
They only had one chance to get a reference in, so they took it. Full sail.
Yeah, the alternative is, shitty remake, so hey.
Yeah. I mean, I think the reference they were going for was that the guy you were talking with is the prince from the pop games, who has since gone blind or something.
Alright then, okay.
Yeah. And then the Odyssey exists.
It certainly does.
Alright.
Okay, one last thing. Pink, before you finish the game, get ready for a gauntlet. Because there's gonna be a point where you will think that you have finished the game, but you haven't. To truly finish the game, you need to reach Atlantis. You need to speak with the fish and then summon freaking Cthulhu by collecting all of the 7 Chaos pieces of Eden.
I thought you said this was a bad game, Maddie.
It is because it doesn't explain the lore properly why there are 7 freaking pieces of Chaos Eden.
That's probably the biggest issue I have with Assassin's Creed on a whole. I've never liked their outside of the assassinating part. I never liked the Abstergo stuff or any of the Apple of Eden stuff or whatnot. Just give me a thing where it's a dude doing a simulation of the ancient times, killing people. That's good enough for me. I don't need any more than that.
Neither did I for the longest time. I played through, I think, like everything up until Syndicate without liking the modern day, and then because there was Breaking Games, I think, that year. I just went through all of the games and just started actually paying attention to the lore. And I mean, it's not good still, but I'm on the side of the people who say it's not. Even if it's not good, it should have some representation just because it gives the games a reason to exist in its own universe.
Me personally, I think killing people is reason enough to exist, but to each their own.
Murder alone is a purpose.
But that's the big thing that is hard to answer with Assassin's Creed, is that, like, do you classify it as like an alternate history game because most of the game is set in an alternate history, or do you classify it as a sci-fi game because it was originally intended to be a sci-fi game that just had parts of alternate history in it? So,
right. They really worked themselves into the corner with that one.
Yeah, and the original guy who came up with the idea left. So hey, work themselves into a shoot, brother. That's why the modern day has been shit for the past like 5 games. Because anybody who cared left.
I honestly would like if there was just one scene at the start of every game of them planting someone new into the damn animus, and that's it. Or maybe the game ends with, like, a Templar just walks into the room and is like, "Hey, we get all the memories from you?" And the guy's like, "Yeah, you did." And then the Templar goes, "Okay," pulls a pistol out and executes him on the spot.
Kind of what happens at the end of Odyssey's DLC, but in inverse. Well, I don't know. So what happens at the end of Odyssey overall, because the DLC is canon, I guess, you pay up if you actually want to see the ending.
Oh my god. Pay up if you want your character to get pregnant, even if you made her a lesbian.
Yeah. But so, the true ending of Assassin's Creed Odyssey is as follows. Layla, the new protagonist who took Desmond's place, kills her friend because she wants her to take a break from the Animus. Then a Templar...
Boy, that's a play right out of Desmond's book, I gotta say.
Desmond had more of a reason to kill Lucy because the whole sequence was him trying to fight against Juno freaking controlling his body, whereas Layla was like they messed up the setup with Layla because they tried to do the same thing that they did with Desmond, but instead of the freaking the otherworldly being is literally taking over Desmond's body and killing Lucy while he's trying to fight in his mind. Instead of that, we get Layla or everybody telling Layla to stop using the animus because she will go crazy. And then Layla going, "Nah, fam, I'm fine." And then she kills her friend. Like even the freaking the one who came before, not Minerva, bloody hell, I'm forgetting her name. Whatever, another deity. Even she stops talking with Layla because she refuses to take a break from the animus.
She's just midway through stabbing the shit out of her friend. I'm fine, guys. I'm fine.
Yeah. So it's not even a thing of repeating Desmond story beats, which is probably what they were going for, but like they messed even that up somehow. But yeah, so that happens. Then a Templar comes in, and then Layla proceeds to cripple that Templar, and that's where we are.
I guess if you're gonna kill indiscriminately, you better hope someone directs you towards the bad guys.
Yeah.
Alright, so Pink, how's Watch Dogs Legion?
Oh
no!
Layla killed
He's
Pink.
gone! He got hacked by the Watch Dogs. The Watch underscore dogs.
Pink.
Hello,
Hello!
here I am.
Yes, you are. How's Watch Dogs Legion?
It's good. It will become very repetitive to literally anyone else that plays it.
Okay. That's pretty well what I've heard, yeah.
Yeah. So, recruitment missions, there are probably 6 unique ones
Oh,
that will
no.
be copy-pasted over the entire game.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
So Sony Sony or Microsoft must have called Ubisoft up and been like, "Hey, we need this to be a fucking launch title."
Yeah, probably.
I think Ubisoft called up Sony and Microsoft and said, "Hey, this is a launch title now."
Yeah.
I like the idea of like, so the Sony CEO being like, "Okay, sure."
What did you even say, pal? How'd you get this number?
I don't speak English.
Sir, this is my personal phone number. How did you get this?
Should I be concerned?
I'm imagining Yves Guillermo calling up the president of Sony Computer Japan, and they just start speaking in French.
You know, we just wanted to call you before you got in the shower, you know. How do you know I'm gonna get in the shower? Look, man, I'm not gonna say anything. By the way, you've got a spot of dust on the back rug back there. You need to get that.
Anyway, Watch Dogs Legion. Continue, Pink.
Yeah, it's gonna become very repetitive, which I'm bringing all the pain upon myself because I decided, hey, I want a roster of at least 20 people before I start the main campaign, so when they die permanently, I've got a nice backlog to go through. So,
like how I started Assassin's Creed 2 and was like, oh, I'm just going to focus everything on getting the fucking township running at first.
right.
Yeah, I'm quickly coming to find that focusing on doing side missions first in free roam games is just not the way to play them.
No, it's not. Also, building up Monteregione is freaking worthless.
No, it doesn't bring you much money at all.
Not even that, but I forget which game it was. Oh, Unity. Unity is the only game where you should actually invest into getting the economy up first. In every other game, it was designed so that you just build a small amount of stuff as you go along the main story, and then you get enough money to go buy. In Unity, you build up the cafe theater, and then you spend a week standing next to the locket, taking out money every 40 minutes, so that you can actually get gear that doesn't suck. Yes, I've done this multiple times. At least 4 by now. Like if you ever wonder why I don't want to play Assassin's Creed Unity or will play through Assassin's Creed Unity again, that's why. because it's not just, oh, I'm gonna start up Assassin's Creed Unity and then I'm gonna finish Assassin's Creed Unity. It's, I'm gonna start up Assassin's Creed Unity, get all of the cafeteria missions as fast as possible, stand next to the locket for a week, and then I can play the game. And the game
That's the
isn't
longest
even
tutorial ever.
the game isn't even good either.
No, it's not. Count the amount of faceless men that walk by you while you're sitting by the locket.
Glitch in the Animus.
Yeah.
It is, without a doubt, the classic. Alright, anything else, Pink?
Gameplay wise, I think Watch Dogs is like a mixture of Assassin's Creed and Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a lot more emphasis on stealth in that game than Odyssey, which is ironic.
Funny is what it is.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe there is a more emphasis on gunning opponents down in Watch Dogs, and I just don't have any good guns yet. But
There's
for
more
the
of a
most
focus on,
part,
there's more of a focus on gunning the enemies down in Odyssey. You just take out the freaking mech.
the Animus has cheat codes now.
It does though. Like it genuinely does though. You can just freaking spawn a unicorn if you pay money, real money. But
Hey, sounds worth it to me.
I actually forget the unicorn might be a free Uplay thing. So if you play the game enough, then you can just buy the unicorn for yourself.
Oh, I have a new goal in life. So, Legion. It's fun. It will get very tiresome after a while. Gameplay starts off very fun. It will get very tiresome after a while. It is a lot of rinse, wash, repeat, whatever you want to call it. So it's a fun time. It's not a great time. Probably one of the games I was most excited for and most let down with it thus far. Which, not to say it's a bad game, it's just an okay game. I'm probably not going to be playing it a year from now, but if I am, hey, celebrate good times. All right.
Yeah.
Remember when all of us wanted to buy it or release before they announced the games on service thing? So I dropped out, and then everybody else dropped out because it just didn't look good.
There
Past a
was-
certain
Yeah.
point.
I was so hyped when they gave us Cyber Grandma.
You see, when you first announce a game with a big feature, you expect there to be announcements of more features afterwards.
Yeah.
But that big initial trailer of like, holy shit, multiple playable characters was like, oh yeah, I'm in. And then they just didn't. Other than that, it's just generic Watch Dogs, which blech.
I'm not the first one to realize this, but actually that I just remembered it on apt comparison with the feelings and all. So people have been saying that Watch Dogs Legion is this generation's freaking Shadow of Mordor, which is to say that Shadow of Mordor established the Nemesis system, and that's all it had going for it. And Watch Dogs Legion,
It's kind of a reverse Nemesis system, but yeah.
That's what I was going to say. And Watch Dogs Legion has establishes the reverse Nemesis system, and that's all it has going for it.
Yeah.
Accurate.
Now we just need like a game that has both.
And actual gameplay. Hey.
That would be pretty cool as well.
Oh man.
Yeah, most of my time in Watch Dogs Legion has been recruiting people, so that involves driving to a restricted area, throwing my spider bot into the restricted area, hacking all the cameras, finding out where I'm supposed to hack or what I'm supposed to hack, infiltrating the restricted area, hacking the thing, getting out, rinse, wash, repeat. That's all it's been thus far. That's all it's going to be. I'm probably going to get started on the actual story soon. So hopefully it picks up a bit there. I don't imagine it will. It's got a fun system. There's not a lot of unique ways they can implement it though. So they tried, their hands are tied. I don't see how the franchise can really develop anymore, which is sad because it's a fun concept. It's not a great foundation.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's really all there is to it.
Uh,
I just got the idea for a cool crossover they could have. So what if in the next Watch Dogs, one of the like it goes really big into the whole hacking aspect, and so one of the weapons you get are just manhacks from Half-Life.
all right. Anything else this week, Pink?
No, I think that was all it. One thing I want to ask Addy though, Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Did you notice that previous Assassin's Creeds, they were all very grounded with their assassinations and combat systems, but in Odyssey, I'm currently using a giant mace to dispatch my enemies, and sometimes I will hit them and they will just go flying like little ragdolls all across ancient Greece, and it's wild. And I don't know if that's a glitch or if it's intended.
I think that's that intended because I think they had to set it up so everything has like moon gravity past a certain point, so that the Spartan capability can work at all.
That is wild because I've just been launching fools across the map, and it's been a good time.
Yeah,
I've given up on stealth. I'm just like, hey, I've got this big ass mace here. I'm gonna launch this fool into a pool. It's gonna be
that's
great.
that's the way they want you to play Pig. That's how they designed the game. It just the stealth is there so that people can't complain that there is no stealth in the game. But the game was designed around you taking out the sphere and a sword or something, and then just hacking away at people because hey, we tried copying Dark Souls, like us guys.
Oh, that's a shame because I really did enjoy the stealth in that game.
I gotta say, it really cracks me up the idea of there just being like a regular guy who's standing around so that there can be some nominal degree of stealth for sneaking up on him. Instead, just Pink just runs up behind him with this massive mace and hits him like a baseball. And I'm imagining it like American Psycho, Christian Bale swinging the axe at Jared Leto, right?
Yeah.
Hey, Paul! Foof.
But my favorite thing with Assassin's Creed Odyssey is how like sometimes people complain about how past a certain point, and I have experienced this. Even if you build assassin, past a certain point, you can't kill people with one hit. And people are just like, oh well, obviously you didn't build enough, you didn't grind enough freaking money and shit to upgrade your weaponry because like when you have a game where every stat is RNG, grinding is a thing you want to do.
Oh,
Yep.
fuck.
Yeah,
But
I did notice very early on that becomes a problem because in the beginning phases, I was able to one shot people with my bow and arrows as long as it was getting headshots. And now progressing further in the game, even though I'm only a level 5 and I'm facing off against other people that are level 5, stealth shots from the bushes to the heads, they'll still have at least 25% health. So it's I don't think it's quote unquote balanced to a point where you can actually do assassinations and feel like, hey, yeah, I'm an assassin. It feels like enemies are just a bit too tanky. There's no way to quickly and efficiently dispatch people unless you're kind of crawling bush to bush to bush, activating your assassination, which I believe is the Y button Odyssey.
Why?
And even then, if the opponent is too high a level, it's a sneak attack instead of assassination, which does a lot of damage, but it also leaves the opponent with at least 25% health, and he gets noisy and it alerts everyone else, which isn't good.
yeah, that's
So,
that's how I tried playing the game, and you can accommodate some of this with right builds. Like once again, I built assassin because I wanted to play like an assassin, which is
yep.
why I was so angry that past a certain point. So Pig, you unlock an ability that is critical assassinations is what they call it, I think. Where if you spend some mana, then you can do an assassination that does twice the amount of damage. So if someone wouldn't die to a normal assassination, they can die to that. So if you go, if you play the game enough, you will find enemies that are immune to critical assassination. By which I mean that they even to a 200% shot and plus whatever other shit that you might put onto it with your gear, all of that will not be enough to kill them with one shot, even if you sneak up on them.
Right. And that's just, I think that's bad design.
one of the only times we would like to have it like some Skyrim stealth bullshit of going up, smacking somebody in the back of the head with a great sword, and then they go, "What was that?" Must have been the wind. Must have been my imagination.
Must have been a rat.
I especially love when they've got
Big-ass
the arrow sticking out the back of their head as they say that.
Oh, yeah.
Damn elves. Skyrim belongs to the Nords. That game is crap. Anyways. So
that was all I did this week, so we're good to carry on.
Alright, for my week, the Warhammer 2 DLC, Twisted in the Twilight, did drop this week. I have not got to play with it nearly as much as I would like, as I've been It dropped on Thursday. I have been very busy on both Friday and, today just started, and, well, I'd love to play more of the Twisted in the Twilight, but hey, after this recording's done, I'm going to probably go eat lunch and then record with Mike, and that could take all night. So, hey,
you should blow Mike off.
Yeah, I should tell Mike, hey, you motherfucker. You goddamn motherfucker. This, that, and another, and your mother. What are you going to say, Eddie?
I'm going to play Total War.
I just think you should blow Mike.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sure he'd agree.
So, the limited time I did get to put in with it, they have fixed the Wood Elves and made them actually enjoyable and playable, which, thank fucking Christ. Now only the Beastmen and Chaos Warriors are pretty well non-playable. And, hey, the units they added are pretty cool. How about tree lizards with hammers?
I like the sound of that.
And giant mole rats.
Even better.
I don't know why I thought you were going to say, what about tree lizards with hands?
What about an morbidly obese Skaven with 3 arms who cannot stop swallowing entire rocks of crack?
Sure.
You get crack from rocks?
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah, you crack the rocks to get the crack. That's where the name comes from.
That makes so much sense.
I'll spend more time with it over the coming weeks. It is, after all, related to the content that I want to record and put up on the channel. So, hey, other than that, the only things that I can really talk about are I finished 2 series and watched 2 movies. I'm going to hit the movies first because they're less interesting, at least for Pink. So, for the 2 movies, I watched Frost Nixon, a 2006 Oscar-winning movie about the interviews David Frost had with Richard Nixon back in the 70s, shortly after Nixon's resignation from the presidency. It stars Martin Sheen as David Frost and Frank Langella as Richard Nixon. And the movie is... There's stuff outside of the interviews, but it's like all chaff, and you can get rid of it, and it's just not very meaningful. And I think that is the film's biggest flaw, is any scene that is not an interaction between David Frost and Richard Nixon. But the scenes between David Frost and Richard Nixon are very well written, though some of the parts, like, they didn't have to write well because it's literally just transcription of the fucking actual televised interviews. That's not too hard. But the really key thing here is Frank Langella knocks it out of the fucking park as Nixon. And Frank Langella does not look like Nixon very much at all. Like, he's not got the monstrous fucking jowls that Nixon had. But he has Nixon's energy so perfectly that you look at him and you forget that he looks nothing like Nixon.
That's a pro right there.
Yeah, and like the last 10-15 minutes of the movie, Langella puts out like just a phenomenal performance as Nixon. And I don't know who won Best Actor in 2006. It wasn't Langella, and Langella got fucking robbed. Langella as Nixon just like carries that movie hard. Which is not to insult anyone else in the movie, because Martin Sheen does a good job. Martin Sheen? Is his name Martin Sheen? No, Michael Sheen. Michael Sheen does a good job.
Okay, that makes more sense, because I was like, Martin Sheen, that's kind of an odd name for such a movie.
Yeah. Sam Rockwell's in it, and Sam Rockwell's good in everything.
Sam Rockwell Rockwell's a man.
Yes, he is. But at the end of the day, most of those characters just aren't written terribly well. Like, Sam Rockwell's character is just a disillusioned young man who hates Nixon. And he's Michael Sheen's an advisor, and he spends the entire time being like, oh, you should harass the shit out of him, and so on and so on. He's just not a very interesting character, right?
Right.
The interesting part of the movie is how it handles a lot of Nixon very honestly, but it still humanizes him. And by the end, you do ultimately end up feeling bad for Nixon while still looking at it from the perspective of, yeah, he really did do some bad things and deserved to get in trouble.
What a dork.
Yeah, it does a very good job of highlighting Nixon's more sympathetic aspect, certainly. Like his working class background and his general, like, some parts of Nixon's infamous paranoia were not very sympathetic. But there was Nixon's, nonetheless, his paranoia that the rich and, like, the old money of America, like, looked down upon him, and that was Nixon's driving motivation, was to prove himself. Because he was so dedicated to that idea that people looked down on him.
Right.
And Frank Langella carries that through wonderfully. It is a movie that I would say is not a Best Picture winner, even though I think it did win Best Picture, so hey. But rather, the movie is worth it to watch for Frank Langella's performance as Nixon, because it is phenomenal. It is probably one of the best performances I've ever seen. It is just amazing from top to bottom. The other movie I got to watch was a movie that was also intended to feature Frank Langella at one point, but it didn't. Red Dragon. Red Dragon is a prequel to Silence of the Lambs. See, at first they made a sequel to Silence of the Lambs, which was just Hannibal, and it wasn't very good. So they instead decided to go back and make a prequel of the original Hannibal Lecter book, Red Dragon, which follows Will Graham, as played by Ed Norton, who is the cop who used to have a liaison with Hannibal before Hannibal got caught for, eating people.
Right.
And he was the one that caught Hannibal for eating people. And the film basically centers on, now Graham needs to hunt down a new serial killer who's running around, the Red Dragon, but he can't fully understand the Red Dragon, and so in order to help better understand the Red Dragon, he has to try and cooperate with Hannibal Lecter, and it develops to be this very interesting relationship, because you can tell Graham and Lecter used to be friends before Graham caught Lecter, eating people. That apparently ruins friendships a good bit, though.
Yeah, probably. I don't think I'd be comfortable walking on you eating, I don't know, spaghetti and liver.
Yeah. It also doesn't help that Lecter stabbed the shit out of Graham, and Graham, in response, shot the shit out of Lecter.
I mean, the thing with the walking is that if you didn't want to end up like the liver, you would have to spaghetti and forgetty.
Spaghetti and forget. Shut up, Addy. Oh, man. So, the movie, I will say it's not better than Silence of the Lambs, because Edward Norton, I know, is a darling for some people, but Norton is not at the peak of his capabilities here as Graham. I don't want to say that he phoned it in, because I do think he was actually very good casting for this version of Graham, but it's not very remarkable. Whereas Jodie Foster as Clarice Starling in Silence of the Lambs doesn't really get enough credit. Like, Anthony Hopkins as Hannibal Lecter is the one everybody praises in Silence of the Lambs, and by all means, it was a fantastic performance. But Jodie Foster did a really great job as Clarice Starling, and Edward Norton as Will Graham just isn't as interesting. Lecter is a very different character in Red Dragon because he has a very different relationship with Graham than he did with Clarice. And there are parts where I like this Hannibal better, and there are parts where it's not as interesting. Hannibal in Silence of the Lambs was kind of scary in that he was a very creepy, oddball kind of guy. At the same time, he wasn't very scary in a lot of ways because he was never a threat to Clarice. Because he loves Clarice in his own sick, demented way. Whereas in Red Dragon, there's this begrudging respect between Graham and Lecter, and this feeling of they used to be friends, but at the same time, by this point, they utterly despise each other, because Graham knows what Lecter got up to, and Lecter hates Graham for fucking putting him in the can, right?
Right.
I will say, I do think that the killer in this one, Francis Dolarhyde, the Red Dragon, the Tooth Fairy, whatever you want to call him, is more interesting than Buffalo Bill from Silence of the Lambs a little bit. I will say that the attempts at giving an origin story to the Red Dragon work out a bit awkwardly. It does work out in the end. The key thing here is both killers got portrayed very, very well, respectively by Ted Levine in the case of Buffalo Bill and Ray Fiennes in the case of Dolarhyde. Which, boy, Ray Fiennes just spent like 20 straight fucking years playing all of cinema's villains, didn't he? Wouldn't have been too long after this one that he went on to playing Voldemort. So,
wow.
yeah, Ray Fiennes does a pretty damn good job as the Red Dragon, and it was a hard job to pull off, because for one thing, he spends like at least a quarter of the film time buck-ass naked, and they had to cover his whole back in a tattoo, which would have taken him every day that they would have filmed him being naked. Ray Fiennes would have had to fucking lie down on his stomach while some person tattoos that on all over his back, including his ass cheeks. Or, well, not tattoos it. Obviously, he didn't get a fucking tattoo, because that'd be ridiculous, right? But paints it onto his back. And there are some scenes where Dolarhyde, the character, yucks it up super hard and really, really just engages in full ham mode. And getting that across without coming off as ridiculous is really hard. And nonetheless, Ray Fiennes did a good job of it. The overall pacing is not nearly as good as it was in Silence of the Lambs, nor is the atmosphere, but at the end of the day, it's still pretty good atmosphere, it's still pretty good pacing. It feels very faithful to Silence of the Lambs. It is not as good as Silence of the Lambs, but it's very faithful. The one last thing I do want to say about it is Philip Seymour Hoffman is also in Red Dragon, and Philip Seymour Hoffman famously died of a heroin overdose, correct?
Oh, man.
Boy, he was high as fuck while filming this. It works out because his character's a skis ball, and like his last scene, he's terrified and also drugged. But it's kind of comical in the last scene he's in, where he's just going, "Oh God, oh God," and he's just barely stringing syllables together. And it's like, my God, Phil, could you not fucking lay off the needle for like a month? Oh, Christ. So those are the two movies I watched. I wrapped up two TV series. Well, I guess it's just one season in one case. This week, the final episode of Fargo came out. Wrapped that up. Or the final episode of Fargo Season 4. I think that actually the Coens and Noah Hawley said they actually are interested in doing Season 5. So, hey, it could keep going. But Season 4 wrapped. And it's one of those cases where I think I need to devote more time to thinking on it. It's definitely a case where it poses some questions. Some characters have their arcs ended perfectly. I really like the ending they gave for two characters in specific, who I will not directly mention. But there were definitely some cases where a character got a fate that I thought was a little bit off. They went a little bit overboard. There are some characters who got away with doing horrible things, and I really think they shouldn't have gotten away with it, because Fargo usually works on a system of karma. You know, you get what you give.
Right.
And there was one character who I thought did not get nearly enough of an ending. She pretty well shows up, makes one final statement, exits stage left. Without any anything substantial for an ending. And I thought that was really disappointing, because she's one of the most important characters in the season. Looking back on it, I will say it's not paced as well as the first two seasons. The overall writing I felt wasn't as strong as the first two seasons either. There is one character who I would point out there's three characters I would point out as having horribly unsatisfying fates. But Fargo Season 4, at the end of the day, is really carried by one thing, which is the absolutely fantastic cast. there is only one actor on the cast who gives a bad performance, which is the guy who plays Gaetano, Salvatore Desposito. And even he winds up pulling it out in the last 2 or 3 episodes. And he actually does pretty well a complete turnaround, and I actually really enjoyed his performances in those last couple episodes. Which is weird, because up in the weeks leading into it, I've been talking to you guys about his fucking eyes bugging out of his skull, and he's going full ham and being like,
Right.
"Hey, I'm a violent Italian mobster. I stabbed the shit out of you." Like, just full on, like, Jack Nicholson would watch that performance and be like, "Hey, man, you need to tone it down a little bit." Oh, man. Every other performance is ranging from either good, in the case of a lot of the cast, to like, oh, this is fantastic. Like, nothing is phenomenal, like guaranteed award winners, but Chris Rock does a really fantastic job. I feel his last scene in particular is a really good performance. Let me go ahead and look up a couple other names because I'm forgetting them and I don't want to misname them because I think they do deserve credit. But Ben Whishaw does a very good job throughout the season. Jack Houston does a fantastic job he portrays a very difficult to portray character. Jesse Buckley is scene stealing throughout the entire season. Jason Schwartzman mostly sticks to the same usual stuff, but he nonetheless does such a good job at some vital scenes that he makes a character likable who is ordinarily the kind of character who should be an unlikable shit. Timothy Olyphant is a delight for all the scenes that he is around in, but that's not a surprise because he's Timothy Olyphant and he is a walking bit of cowboy charisma. Glenn Turman and Francesco Accaroli are both very delightful older mobster cases. They get a lot of scenes to themselves where it's like, hey, let's put these two old mobsters together in a dialogue scene and just let them rock. These two veteran actors who are very clearly very, very good. And it really works for them. And there were some plot twists at the very end that I thought really fit. But at the end of the day, I would say Fargo Season 4 is closer to Season 3 in terms of being distinctly flawed. And if someone were to say they didn't like Season 3 or Season 4 because of a very present flaw, I would be completely understanding. And here's the last TV show I wrapped up, and this is a big one. The Good Place.
Ah.
So, got to watch Season 4 on Netflix. Pank, have you got to watch Season 4 yet?
No, I have not.
Okay, so I will go ahead and say it's a 13-episode season. 11 out of those 13 episodes, the first 11, are among the series' best. But with Good Place, it's difficult to say because it feels like every episode is a best episode, right?
Right. Yep.
Like, that show is just so fantastic. And the first 11 episodes of The Good Place Season 4 continue to be really fantastic, really creative. The characters continue to be really lovable. It subverts expectations, but in a way that makes sense and really makes you look back and be like, oh, I should have seen that coming. And makes you look back and be like, oh, you know what? That's actually way more interesting than the way I thought it was going to go, right?
Right.
And it's a very good time, those first 11 episodes. And that 11th episode ends in such a way that it's kind of a satisfying, self-contained ending by itself. The last 2 episodes are still pretty enjoyable. But I would say that where every single other episode of The Good Place, before those final 2 episodes, every other episode before was a 10 on 10. I would say that the last 2 episodes are 8.5s on 10s. And it does pain me to say that. But for a show that has written itself brilliantly, they were stuck in a spot where the Good Place has always been very good about having interesting, unique answers to questions that you would not expect but make a lot of sense. And raising moral questions and having good answers to them rather than just going with a usual lazy answer. And there have been philosophies that they have brought up during The Good Place that they have described as lazy or childish philosophies. Because The Good Place is fundamentally a comedy about philosophy, right?
Right.
So there are some philosophies that they discuss just about every major philosophy, and there are a couple they bring up that are pretty common philosophies among certain people in the real world that they just outright say, like, yeah, this is a pretty childish philosophy. But with the last 2 episodes, they were stuck in a spot where if they had taken more time, they would have been able to come up with a really creative answer and raise some really interesting questions. But rather than doing that, they go with I'll go ahead and call it lazy answer. A lazy answer from a philosophy that they have spent the last 4 seasons decrying as a childish, immature, selfish, lazy philosophy. That's...
Communism.
Yes, communism. That's exactly right. I still walked away happy, but I walked away with that kind of, not hollow, but that kind of iffy happiness of like, I'm glad it's over before it got bad.
Right.
I'm glad that 11 out of the 13 episodes were still 10 on 10s. I'm glad that the show at its nadir, at its worst point, was still 8.5 out of 10. But I would have really liked a more satisfying ending that raised interesting possibilities and was more creative than what we got. Nonetheless, if you focus on those first 11 episodes, and the ending is really important for stories. That needs to be said. The ending is really important. The ending affects what emotions you walk away with. It affects like how you think of the characters going forward, how you think of the themes of the series going forward, and the ending was a bit of a disappointment. Not as much of a disappointment as the ending of, say, Lost or Game of Thrones or How I Met Your Mother. It's still very true to the series, largely excluding one thematic basis. I'm not going to spoil it for you, Pink, but I am interested to see your take on it when you do get the opportunity to watch Season 4.
I will have to put that on my to-do ASAP list, because I honestly didn't know Season 4 was already out on Netflix, so good to know.
Yeah, all the episodes.
Very nice.
I mean, even then, like, some of the characters get that kind of unsatisfying end of the final episodes, but there are 2 characters who get really satisfying endings that perfectly cap off their character arcs. And I was really happy with that. And they satisfy the whole cosmic war thing going on very happily, very satisfyingly. So, I would still say that to me, The Good Place is the best TV show I've ever watched.
Alright, very nice.
I'm glad it ended in a at least partly satisfying way, because I also watched Game of Thrones. And Game of Thrones, if it had ended properly, would be very, very strong competition against The Good Place for that title of best TV show I've ever watched. But instead, Game of Thrones had a really bad finale.
Daenerys was robbed.
I feel like from the beginning, Daenerys should have been robbed because her winning would be too much of a happy ending. But they definitely put the wrong person on the throne to end the series.
Should have been Tyrion.
I was about to say. There's only like two Game of Thrones characters I know. 3. I know Daenerys, by name at least. I know Joffrey, and I know Tyrion.
Oh man, imagine if Joffrey came back for the last season.
Yeah. Joffrey came back from the dead.
Yeah, you just see his hand rise out of its grave.
No, he enters the scene throwing a freaking used condom at Jon Snow.
Oh, shit.
The callbacks.
Yeah, the callbacks. Man, I forgot about that one. Alright, I think we can call that a podcast, boys. So,
yeah.
Eddie,
Bye.
You know what to do.
Yeah. Good luck.
Exactly. Alright, we'll see you later, folks.